Joining us now, Justin Wolfers, professor of public policy and economics at the University of Michigan Ford School, and Veronique De Rugy, senior research fellow at the Marcatus Center at George Mason University. I don't even think it's going to be that big of a debate here, Justin or Veronique. Veronique, I did like one thing you said, and I think I've said something similar. We'll talk about price controls. VP Harris had a choice between telling Americans that they pay higher prices because of the inflation her administration helped create. She could have said that, or she could have blamed corporations, and she chose the latter.
Yeah, I mean, I think it boils down to this. And I mean, I get it. I mean, politics is pandering and trying to actually look as good as you can. And the thing is, the notion of price control is one that emotionally is people respond to it in a way that's favorable. People do not like high prices. And in fact, I think President Trump is making a big mistake with his tariff campaign, because when people get that prices are higher, they're going to be against this. And price control is the same thing. People don't like high prices, so they will respond positively to the promise that prices will be controlled. Unfortunately, everyone will have to live with the consequences, and especially, people who actually were the less well off.
Hey, Justin, I don't think you think price controls are great, but your angle, I think, is that price gouging laws already exist. They don't do that much. They don't come into play that often. It wouldn't cause that much harm, so we really shouldn't pay that much attention to it. But my point to Senator Elizabeth Warren was, Justin, if we want to really do things to help people, you don't just start bashing chains that make 2% profit margins. You actually go and try to find what caused the inflation in the first place. Maybe it was the pandemic. Maybe it was supply chain. Whatever it was, let's try and fix it. Let's not demagogue it just for political reasons to try to put the blame on something else.
Look, fair enough. I'm not the one running for president right now, but I will tell you.
I don't think. Can you run for president? Where were you born, Justin?
I was born in Australia, mate. So,
yeah, no, you're out. You're not. You're
yeah,
not
you and I are out.
But, look, let me okay. Actually wear two hats in answering your question. So the first thing is, I'm an economics professor. I'm going to teach Economics 101 later today. It's not this week's lesson, but in a few weeks we're going to talk about price controls, and I will teach that, generally speaking, when markets are functioning well, price controls are a bad idea, even though they're often a popular idea. So there, Veronique and I think you as well, agree. The other job I have is policy wonk, where I actually read the policies and I listen to what people are saying. And I've read very carefully what Kamala Harris said. She said, and let me quote here, she said, "My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules. And we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead." So, a few things there. She's not talking about price controls. Not once has she used that word. She's talking only about groceries, a very smallish part of the economy. And she's only talking about when there are major disasters and the like. And she's looking to get ahead, to punish those companies that are exploiting crises and breaking the rules. And frankly, I'm against breaking the rules as well. So, economists as a tribe, we're very upset whenever we think there's price controls happening. We've got to look at the policy. That's actually not what Vice President Harris has suggested we do.
Well, Justin,
now, you said one more.
I'll just say, Justin, that was her first policy rollout. We've just come through a period of 40-year highs in inflation, where wages are still down from when her administration came into office. So her biggest thing is this small little niche area that you think, and everybody will agree with you, no one should be price gouging, but that's not what the issue was. That's not what the problem. That should not be the first rollout of a major policy to make it look like that's what caused the inflation, right, Veronique?
Let's talk about that.
Well, Veronique, please let Veronique speak.
I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there was a change in the way she talked about her policy from the first moment it was announced on a Wednesday night to the moment where she made her speech on Friday, because there was an extremely strong pushback from economists on the left, on the right, on the center, libertarians. Everyone was pushing against it. And it's not crazy for people like me to actually think that at her core, she does believe in these type of policies, because she actually has endorsed the policy by Elizabeth Warren, which is a price gouging, anti-price gouging policy. And again, I understand the pandering, but the thing, people are upset about high prices. This is not going to address price gouging. And the way she frames this is in the context of this is going to address high prices. I mean, people are upset because we've had the highest inflation that we've had, and now it's down significantly, but prices are still very high. And this is not going to do anything. So I would rather, I mean, call me naive, that we actually talked about what would really help bring those prices down. And that's like an increase in supply. Free the supply side from all the government barriers. It won't go all the way, but it will help.
Justin?
Can I jump in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think you're absolutely right. Look, let me emphasize the robust agreement. One, price controls are a bad idea. We agree. Two, Vice President Harris has never said that she would engage in price controls. And in fact, she's been a member of an administration that has not engaged in price controls. Then you brought us back and you said, hey, the cost of living is an absolutely serious issue and it deserves great seriousness. So here's where I think we should take the debate seriously and put things in a broader context. So we've got to compare Harris to Trump. Let me tell you, here's Trump's cost of living policy. This is literally what he said in his big economic speech last week. He said, on my first day in the Oval Office, I will sign an executive order directing every cabinet secretary and agency head to use every tool and authority at their disposal to defeat inflation and to bring consumer prices rapidly down. So Harris has a policy. You may not love it. Trump says, I'm going to call my guys and ask them to think about it. So let's just be symmetric about our economic debates and think about how seriously is Trump taking the cost of living crisis. His real policy is a joke. The actuality, of course, is he wants to impose 10% across-the-board tariffs, which are all going to be passed along into higher prices. And so as a result, there's going to be a massive boost to the cost of living and inflation if Trump's elected.
Okay, fair enough.